Detroit Lions have been through many different regimes in their history, and in 2014, a new one began with the Detroit Lions hiring their new head coach, Jim Caldwell. The Detroit Lions would bring in Jim Caldwell to replace Jim Schwartz, and in 2014, he got off to about the best start you could literally ask for as a head coach for the Detroit Lions. An 11-5 start to his career with the Detroit Lions, leading the Lions to a playoff game against the Dallas Cowboys, which was very controversial as the Lions ended up losing 24-20. It was still a great start for Jim Caldwell, and it had a lot of fans excited for the future. And in 2015, the Detroit Lions came in with tons of expectations, as they should, but unfortunately those expectations came crashing down. After an 0-5 start to the season, ultimately 1-7, it left Martha Ford with the decision to pretty much clean the house, keeping Jim Caldwell but firing many high staff members.
Informed Tom LeWan and Martin Mayhew that they may have been relieved of their responsibilities with the team. We thank them both for their many years of service to the team and to our family. We are very disappointed with the results of the season so far and believe a change in leadership was necessary.
The Detroit Lions the next season would bring in Bob Quinn as their new general manager to take over from Martin Mayhew. And in 2016, it would be the first time that we would see Bob Quinn and Jim Caldwell working together.
In the 6, it's almost like he's been in the witness protection program because there are almost no pictures of him anywhere. But he got a ringing endorsement from Patriots head coach Bill Belichick that carried a lot of weight.
In 2016, the Detroit Lions were able to get back into the playoffs behind Matthew Stafford and his 8 fourth-quarter comebacks and a 9-7 record.
Never did. 11 times this year they've trailed in the fourth quarter. 7 times they've come back to get the victory.
Backs make their money in situational football. I know that's the only way I know how to operate, is wanting the ball, wanting those situations. Would love to be up 21, but kind of love being down 3.
But unfortunately, once again, they would lose to the Seattle Seahawks in a game that didn't seem super competitive. The next season, which would end up being the final season for Jim Caldwell, the Detroit Lions would once again go 9-7, but this time they were not a playoff team, as they were eliminated in week number 16 against the Cincinnati Bengals in a game that many fans believe the Lions should have won because they were the better team heading into the game, but they weren't able to do that, and they were eliminated from playoff contention. After that 2017 season, Bob Quinn made it a mission himself to fire Jim Caldwell and find the next head coach. So that is where our story begins. Our story begins with the Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia era. The story has not been finalized yet, right? We still don't exactly know where this is going to go, but we've seen a lot up to this point, and it's a very interesting story, so that's what we're going to be doing. And in today's episode number 1, we're going to be looking at the beginning of Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, the foundation that they started to build. We'll go from there. So in 2018, Bob Quinn fires Jim Caldwell on January 1st.
When you look at our record over the last couple years since I've been here, we didn't beat the really good teams. Our record was above average. 9-7 the last 2 years, but our record against the better teams in the league has not been that good.
As the Detroit Lions head coach and lead the search, and just a month later he would hire Matt Patricia, a guy that he was familiar with back in his Patriot days. It seemed like this was always the plan of Bob Quinn, was to bring in Matt Patricia as the Detroit Lions' next head coach, and they did that just a month later.
It's my sincere pleasure to welcome and introduce the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia.
They also made some other little staff hirings that, they had to replace after firing a month before of guys like the offensive line coach. The Detroit Lions would bring in a new offensive line coach, a new quarterback coach, a new linebacker coach, their new defense coordinator, and Paul Pasqualoni, and they would also bring in a defensive backs coach and a tight ends coach to fill out the rest of the staff. Looking at what the Detroit Lions had done before with back-to-back 9-7 seasons, and Bob Quinn basically saying that that wasn't good enough, his main reason for firing Jim Caldwell was that he didn't win the big games. He didn't win the important games. He didn't win enough. He didn't win championships, and obviously he couldn't advance the Detroit Lions in the playoffs.
And this is a results business. This is wins and losses. We can talk about all the individual plays, all the individual players, the staff. We can talk about all that stuff. It comes down to winning football games and winning championships.
And that's where the 9-7 wasn't good enough in Jim Caldwell's time with the Detroit Lions. Even though he's had one of the best records that any head coach has had with the Lions, he was only 4-25 against winning teams, or teams above 500. And that was a big problem for Bob Quinn, as he was used to winning a lot of games, and he believed the Detroit Lions should be a lot better than that, and he was going for championships, not just regular season wins. So he brings in head coach Matt Patricia, the former defensive coordinator from the New England Patriots, who we knew from his time with New England. And in 2018, it would all begin. Now that their staff was looking good, they had their new staff members, the Detroit Lions would have to try and fix this roster. And one of the main problems in the 2017 season, a problem that Bob Quinn has looked to fix for a long time now, in 2017, the Detroit Lions finished last in the league in rushing yards. And last in the league in rushing yards, the Detroit Lions knew that's something that they had to fix. In 2018, Bob Quinn took it upon himself to do his best to try to revamp that group in one offseason with the signing of a guy like LeGarrette Blount, a veteran running back who is also a former Patriot. Bob Quinn felt like a new veteran presence in the backfield would help, a power type of running back to kind of mix it up, as they also released Amir Abdullah that offseason. Releasing Amir Abdullah, who was also a second-round pick, but unfortunately for Amir Abdullah, one of his biggest problems was fumbles. But Amir Abdullah literally could not run the football without fumbling. Amir Abdullah had tons of fumble issues, and he also had some injury issues, which ultimately led Bob Quinn to releasing him that offseason, where they also released Eric Ebron, a former first-round pick, Eric Ebron. So Eric Ebron and Amir Abdullah were out, and Detroit Lions continued to try to fix that running game with the addition of LeGarrette Blount. Then in the draft, the Detroit Lions took it upon themselves to draft heavy for the run, and with their first-round pick number 20 in the NFL draft, the Lions selected offensive lineman Frank Ragnow.
Hey Frank.
How you doing?
Good, man. Congratulations. You just made your Lion.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Who you there with?
My mom, my family, my friends.
Hey, listen, you've worked your entire life to get to this point, so we're real excited to add you to the team.
I'm very excited.
We kind of met you at the combine and really came away impressed, and kind of kept a low radar on you for the rest of the process. But I think you're a good fit in our team here.
Then the very next round, with pick number 43, the Detroit Lions in the second round, who they traded up for, would select Kerryon Johnson, the running back out of Auburn.
Select Kerryon Johnson, running back out of Auburn,
to pair along with LeGarrette Blount, in hopes that the offensive line would be better and that the run game would improve from the 2017 season, as that is something that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn pride themselves on, is being able to run the ball and stop the run. They look at that as the fundamentals, as the foundation of any team. You need to be able to do that, and that's what they try to do in 2018, with also later in the draft selecting Terrell Crosby, the offensive tackle out of Oregon. So the Detroit Lions did what they could to try to revamp that rushing game. Let a few players hit free agency, such as Haloti Ngata, Tahir Whitehead, and Travis Swanson. So Frank Ragnow was ultimately a replacement for a guy like Travis Swanson. They also brought in Kenny Wiggins, Luke Wilson, Matt Castle, and Levine Toilolo to basically make up for the loss of a guy like Eric Ebron. And the rest of the draft looked like this. In the third round, the Lions selected Tracy Walker with the 82nd pick in the NFL draft, a safety out of Louisiana. At pick number 114, the Lions would select Deshaun Hand, a defensive lineman out of Alabama. And Deshaun Hand was huge to help replace a guy like Haloti Ngata. Then at pick number 153, as we mentioned, they selected the offensive tackle. And with their final pick in the draft, the Lions again addressed the running game, bringing in a hammerhead type of fullback in Nick Bawden to help bolster that running game. Bob Quinn, as you can tell, made it his mission to try to fix that running game heading into the 2018 season. Now, there were a lot of high hopes for the season, because when you make the statements that Bob Quinn made after firing your head coach, you would believe that he thinks this team should be a lot better and that the Lions could be a lot better in the 2018 season. How did that season go? We'll get into that in the next episode. So this is episode 1 of the Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn era. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you let me know in the comment section, and episode 2 will be coming soon. And until then, thank you, Bob, for watching, and I'm out.